Will the college football playoff turn out to be a be careful what you wish for scenario for all of us that have been clamoring for Cincinnati? Stay tuned and I'll explain. What is up, college football fans, fellow members of Mountaineer Nation? This is Coos, and welcome to another edition of Coos' Corner, your go-to channel for college sports with a heavy dose of West Virginia Mountaineers. Before I get into this show, I want to ask that if you haven't yet, please hit the red subscribe button for me. Please give me the thumbs up if you like the video. Be sure to share this. And also, if you're still looking for gift ideas for the sports fan in your life, click the Fanatics link in the description box. You'll be able to shop at the Fanatics website. Anything you buy from that link will help me out. And they're running some really good deals right now, and I'll post the deals and the coupon codes in the description with the link. So be sure to check that out too, please. Now let's get on with the show. What I want to talk to you about is the college football playoff rankings that just came out, and how us fans of the new Big 12 who have been clamoring for Cincinnati to be in the top 4 may regret it at the end of the day. It may be a careful what you wish for situation, and I'll explain why in a minute. But first, I want to just kind of touch on the current rankings. I actually don't have a whole lot of issues with these rankings. They look a lot better than the ones they've had the last couple weeks. As we all kind of suspected, the rankings are working themselves out through the games and the results of the games. Most of the things I would change are more to the bottom. I would have Houston and UTSA ranked higher because of their records. I know their strength of schedule isn't there, but like Houston, for example, has been beating teams pretty soundly. They should be higher than they are. Also, I'd kind of like to see Oklahoma State and Notre Dame flip-flop, but I guess I'm kind of a Big 12 homer. And I feel like Oklahoma State's wins are better than Notre Dame's wins, but that Iowa State loss is a worse loss than Notre Dame's. So, you know, I don't have a whole lot of heartburn over that one. So I don't really have a lot to criticize in these rankings this week. They're actually pretty good, I think, pretty fair. But what I want to talk about now is what I alluded to in the teaser. We got a scenario right now. A lot of us have been clamoring for Cincinnati to be in the top 4. We've been saying that the rankings are rigged, that they're set up to work against the group of 5 and against Cincinnati. And, you know, all of us new Big 12 fans want Cincinnati to get in to prove a point, yada yada. Well, now we're in a scenario where you've got Oklahoma State, who's also a Big 12 member and will be a new Big 12 member, sitting at number 7. And there's a chance that the committee could come down to picking between Cincinnati and Oklahoma State. And if Cincinnati gets in over Oklahoma State, we might all be sitting back and going, wait a minute, that's not right. We might change our tune if that happens. Because if you compare the resumes of these teams, I think Oklahoma State has an argument. Let's talk about it. First, I'm going to put the resume of Cincinnati on the screen and let you look at it while I discuss it with you. Their victories are over Miami of Ohio, Murray State, at Indiana, which turned out not to be that big of a win because Indiana's not good. At Notre Dame, that's the big win they've gotten. That is a good win. Notre Dame's it's a top 10 win on the road. That's big, and it was by double digits. They blew Temple out, blew UCF out, struggled against Navy, beat Tulane on the road, but that game was closer than it should have been early. Only an 8-point win over Tulsa at home. They beat South Florida handily, but there again, it was closer than the score shows. And then they did what they needed to do and absolutely blew out SMU, which was a good win. SMU's, even though they're not ranked, SMU's a respectable team and have a good record. So they sit at 10-0 right now. Cincinnati's 10-0. They're undefeated, which is awesome. But their strength of schedule is one of the worst in the country. I think they're like they were like 110th or 111th last week. I haven't checked this week. The win over SMU should improve it some. But when you look at their strength of schedule versus Oklahoma State's, it just doesn't compare in my opinion. Let's look at Oklahoma State's. Win over Missouri State, win over Tulsa, 1-point victory over Boise State. You know, they were 3-0 at that point, but none of those wins really impress you. Then they beat a ranked Kansas State team, a ranked Baylor team, and at the time a ranked Texas team. Then they lose on the road at Iowa State. Now, they only lost by 3 points, and it was on the road. and Ames, Iowa was a tough place to play. So that loss is not a terrible loss, but it is a loss nonetheless to an unranked team. Then they destroyed Kansas, went to Morgantown and beat my Mountaineers 24-3 and absolutely dominated them. Absolutely obliterated TCU, and then at Texas Tech. I mean, you look at their defense is really, look at the points they've allowed in the last 4 games. 3, 17, and 0. So their defense has been dominant the last 4 weeks. They've been great all year, but they've really been dominant the last 4 weeks. But they've got 3 top 25 wins on the schedule. Kansas State, Baylor, and Texas. Now, Texas and Kansas State aren't ranked now, and Texas ended up being a dumpster fire. But the Kansas State win's a good win, and the Baylor win's a good win. And then road wins at West Virginia is not terrible. And they blew out TCU, which is good. And the 23-0 win at Texas Tech's not bad either. So you've got 3 ranked wins and 1 loss to a non-ranked team. Then you go over here to Cincinnati. They only have 1 ranked win, but it's against a top 10 team on the road. So which holds more weight? But they have 0 losses. To me, that's a tough puzzle to solve right there. In that scenario, I would probably give the edge to Cincinnati just because of who they beat, and it was on the road. I think Cincinnati's victory over Notre Dame is one of the best quality wins of the season so far. Now, but you look at what they have coming up. Let's look at that. Cincinnati plays at ECU this weekend. They should dominate that game. It's not going to be a sleepover. ECU's not a bad team. They're 7-4 on the year right now, and they have to go to Greenville. So that's not going to be an easy game. But if they do what they need to do there, then they play the American Conference Championship game against Houston, who's, as you saw, is a top 25 team. Now, if they can beat Houston and beat Houston pretty good, that'll give them 2 top 25 wins on the year against Notre Dame on the road and then against Houston. So they'll have 2 ranked wins. Now, if Oklahoma has Bedlam this weekend against Oklahoma, who's ranked 10th right now. So if they beat Oklahoma, that would give them a top 10 win. Then they would have to turn around and play Baylor in the conference championship. Baylor's ranked 8th right now. So if Baylor takes care of business this weekend against their opponent, they'll still be a top 10 team. Oklahoma State beats them. They would have 2 top 10 wins in back-to-back weeks. Whereas Cincinnati would still only have the 1 top 10 win and 2 ranked wins overall. Oklahoma State would have 5 ranked wins, 2 against top 10 teams. And in that case, in my opinion, that body of work would absolutely knock Cincinnati out of the water. And if it comes down to those 2 teams with those 2 resumes, I personally think Oklahoma State deserves it more. That's my opinion. I've been clamoring for Cincinnati. I think they deserve to be number 4 right now. I think where they are is deserving. But if that scenario plays out, Oklahoma State Cowboys deserve to be a top 4 team. There's not going to be many teams that could compete with that resume. 2 top 10 wins, a conference championship, and 5 ranked wins overall on the year. I don't know what else they could ask for. That would be a great body with only the 1 loss, and it was on the road to who at the time was a pretty good Iowa State team. And I still think that's, even though the committee has Cincinnati at 4 right now, they've got Oklahoma sitting at 10, Baylor sitting at 8. I think the stars are aligning for Oklahoma State to get in this puppy. When you look at these 2 resumes, if they do what they need to do by the end of the year, who would you put in? Let me know in the comments section of these 2 teams at the end of the year. If everything holds true and both teams win out, who gets in, Oklahoma State or Cincinnati? Let me know in the comments. I'd also like to know what you think about the current rankings. Do you have a problem with the current top 25? Do you think Cincinnati deserves to be at number 4 today as things sit right now? Don't forget to hit the red subscribe button to help me get to my goal of 500 subscribers by the end of the year. Don't forget to hit the thumbs up if you like the content. Don't forget the Fanatics link to go do your Christmas shopping. Thanks for tuning in. Until next time.